On this week's episode of The Video Store, Josh visits the man in the high castle riding Bojack Horseman into absentia at the end of the fucking world while Frank Goliath takes his knives out and enters the dragon Don't Look Now while Gemini man Josh joins the Cold War with Rambo Last Blood Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Frank visits a delicatessen for 6 days becoming the king of New York with his last flag flying as Josh in The Irishman saw a fallen angel in her smell kill Jane the Fanatic. Okja.
Welcome to the Video Store Podcast. We are here to review TV shows, movies, and everything else that we've watched, streaming, on demand, out for rental, and in theaters. My name is Frank.
And this is his co-host, Josh.
You're more than a co-host, Josh.
I'm a friend.
You're a co-friend.
I'm a co-friend.
Yeah.
Is that worse than a friend?
It depends on your perspective, man. However you want to take it.
Okay.
I talk to you more than anyone else besides coworkers. So.
Co-workers.
Yeah.
What's a real worker?
We are workers.
Language.
We are workers individually, but when we communicate with each other, when we talk about each other, we are co-workers because we are coming together for a common cause. Just like you and I are coming together for a common cause, which is to deliver a average to above average movie podcast.
Okay, that's a fair rating. I don't want you to get too crazy or overexcited.
I think, if anything, we're aware of our capabilities and our limitations.
The first one, for sure.
Yeah. So, Josh, thoughts and trailers. Tell me about this Black Widow trailer. I was busy at work today, so I'm aware that it exists, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Well, okay, so if you're not familiar with Black Widow, this is a spinoff of the Marvel Avengers, starring Scarlett Johansson in a film about Natasha Romanoff and her quest between the films Civil War and Infinity War. That is the actual tagline, by the way. They literally just tell you, this is between these two movies in our timeline.
That's all I mean. It's like a side mission. It's like a bonus DLC, but it's a movie. They're going to expect you to pay.
Path you could walk across, and then you're like, nah, I'm going to finish the game first, and then I'll come back and finish that path.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, spoiler alert, like, her story is finished by the time the Avengers saga, whatever you call this.
It's almost dead even.
Yeah. But, I mean, granted, there's a lot of interesting actors that are new to the MCU in this cast. Florence Pugh, who I adore and was great in Midsommar, amongst other things. Rachel Weisz, David Harbour.
David Harbour looks the best in this trailer, playing Red Guardian. It's just that one moment that you know that this guy is going to be a big part of the humor element and also just fun to watch. David Harbour always has a very emotion-filled face and great expressions, and just it's good to see him back doing something because we know his other storyline a little dead at the moment.
Dropping them hints. So you dug the trailer? Is this something you're interested in?
It's okay. In the Marvel's timeline, I could totally be down to watch this. With no expectations is a good way to go into these. Look, we finished the main story and overall plot and that building of Infinity Stones and all that shit. So let's now just enjoy some good superhero movies. Yeah,
and see, I had no interest in this movie because it is like, and comic books have done this forever. It's like a one-off story, and there's not going to be a sequel, obviously. So it doesn't
depends
have
on
that.
How good it does, I bet.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what they can do, resurrect her, but they can do whatever. That's another thing comic books are known for.
Yeah, but like, oh man, you were cut in half and set on fire, but you're back now, so let's continue the story.
Yeah, this doesn't have the pull of like a puzzle piece towards the bigger story, which has us chasing all these Marvel movies, but it's an action movie with a female lead directed by a female, which is very rare, and I like to support that. I always think there should be more of those, and the cast is so good. So if you told me just that there's a movie out with Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, and Rachel Weisz, I'm going to see that movie.
And David Harbour, don't be a dick.
David Harbour, Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to be in it, not in the trailer. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to watch it. I mean, it's not probably going to be great. We're going to force feed
ourselves like the American subjects we are.
Even though I feel like these Marvel /Disney/Star Wars movies are deteriorating entertainment in general.
Quality of the cinema experience and something new and fresh.
That's why these are so insidious, man. Like, they're bad overall, but you do it anyway,
Yeah, but I've done worse, so it's what it is.
Okay. Moving on to what we've watched. We're going to break this up for the first time on the podcast. We're going to separate TV series and movies. So we're going to have
TV time.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome. TV time.
So I'll let you lead off, man. Tell the people what you saw, what you thought about it, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Okay. I know how to do this, I think. So, I watched The Man in the High Castle in its final season on Amazon Prime, which we may have discussed at some point or another. If you are not familiar with this storyline, the initial season, it is in a dystopian America dominated by Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. Basically, if they had won the war, what events would lie forth and how those stories would get parallel to current day or the experiences we've gone through since then. So the interesting thing is these movies are discovered in the first season that show a world in which we won the war, the actual history. So that story develops throughout these seasons with a large ensemble cast of characters and plot storylines to go for days. You have the main lead playing Juliana Crane is Alexa Davalos. I don't know if you're familiar. She kind of looks like a little bit like Michelle Monaghan.
Okay, I'm going to look it up now while you're talking.
Okay, fair enough. And there's some great performances by just a really interesting cast. And the first season, DJ Qualls is one of the main side characters. You have Rupert Evans.
That's a name I haven't heard in such a long time.
DJ Qualls, right?
Good to see he's still getting work.
So the thing he was in before was that on Sci-Fi Channel, the Zombie Z Nation.
Okay.
He was doing that for a few seasons as the lone guy stuck in Antarctica while everyone else is going through a zombie apocalypse. But anyways, back onto The Man in the High Castle. This is an epic storyline where I'd say initially there's a bit more of cloak and dagger operations from the rebellion attacking Japan, because you basically have the United States separated into the what they call the JPS, the Japanese Pacific States, and then the American Reich, or whatever they call the rest of the East Coast. And then there's a neutral zone in the middle. Of course, that just can't last. Currently, Japan and Nazi Germany are on pretty civil terms, and that kind of develops, and there's a lot of assassination attempts and trickery and just all in all, really good stories. And they're all pretty fun to watch. I can't say that there was too few of them. And I was like, man, I really don't give a shit about this character's plot line. One of the more interesting characters is Rufus Sewell, who plays Oppengriff Gruppenfeimer John Smith, which is some upper ranking in the Nazi military. And he was initially part of American military. And what they did was they kind of starved people to a point and said, hey, we brought you all this food and stuff. If you want to join our military and be the first to join, we'll give you a great rank. And basically, we won't send you off to camps and murder you. So he was one of those people that took his family and joined the Nazi military. So it's a really interesting storyline for sure. And there's some, I don't want to really, beyond the first season, you kind of learn that there's some type of other world going on and existing.
Yeah,
and
so like,
it gets beyond a time period. No, you can't talk.
I don't want to have a 3-hour podcast. It sounds interesting, but I think we'll leave these, like, give us like a handful of things for each show, especially when you're talking about a whole series. Like, give people like just a couple things that would get them interested in it. We don't have to describe the whole show.
If you're into those older retro storylines and those timepieces that have a little bit of extra science fiction to it in a sense, and I think that's where the story develops a lot further, and you really see some really interesting things happening. So check it out, The Man in the High Castle, final season. I think it's 4 seasons total, and it's the jam.
Cool. I'm surprised you haven't seen this one yet, because you love Netflix, and I thought you were a fan of Bojack Horseman, but I tried
once, and I'm not there.
You've tried the series once, or this season?
I tried the series, a few episodes, and I'm not in a I'm falling in love with comedic shows at the moment. I don't know.
Okay.
Didn't do it.
Well, I will tell you, this might interest you because I know you're not, you don't shy away from depressing stuff. It's, it deals with like, Bojack Horseman is about the title character, voiced by Will Arnett. He's a ex-TV star and now like meddling Hollywood actor who is self-loathing, alcoholic, sleeps around, just not a nice person, not a good person. And the show deals with him, dealing with his personal demons, and it speaks to like things that all of us as adults deal with better than most live action shows, even though it's a show with cartoon animals cohabitating with humans. It's an interesting premise, and it's its weird own world, and it's unlike anything else. But as the seasons go on, it deals with deeper, darker stuff like dementia and just like toxic relationships and divorce. It deals with like everything that people in their 20s and 30s and even their parents deal with. It's really cool how it treats all its side characters and cares about its characters, so it's not exploitive. And it is funny at times, but it's just so unique and so well done and heartfelt that I think it's one of the best TV shows. And I'm surprised because at its inception, I thought it was just like a joke. It looked like a just a weird animation that Netflix picked up because no one else would. But it's one of the better shows this decade, in my opinion.
It reminds me of you remember the Robert Evans show, Kid Notorious?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Just something about that. Of course, that guy.
It is very inside Hollywood, so it has that aspect to it. But it quickly drifts away from that. That's just the background, and each character is a fully fleshed out like person with multiple dimensions to them.
So, who else voices some of those characters?
Paul F. Tompkins plays the. He's like the anti Bojack Horseman. He's Mr. Peanut Butter. He's a dog, and he's just a lovable, like optimistic guy that he convinces himself at one point he's depressed, but then realizes he's not. Like he's just a happy guy. Like he's annoyingly happy. He's great. And then Amy Sedaris plays Princess Caroline, who is a cat and the agent of Bojack Horseman.
Fuck yeah.
And she's a single lady.
Cats manipulate the world.
Yeah, she's great. Alison Brie plays Diane, who's a human, and she's Bojack's best friend. Aaron Paul plays Todd, who is like the Kato Kalin of Bojack's life. He's just like a guy who's like never really done anything with his life, but he's like the sweetest and sometimes the smartest character, even though he just, he's played as like a dude on the couch kind of thing.
Hey, he's idiot savant.
Yeah, that's the main core of the show, and there's a lot of great, guest voices and all that, but it's really cool. It also has one of the best TV themes, and I think that's important. That gets me to binge stuff. I know it's what it's doing, but a really good theme will carry me into the next episode, and it has a great two themes.
See, I think Big Mouth did that very well using Charles Bradley with Changes.
Yeah, a song that I already loved.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just like, man, nails it. So perfect.
So yeah, BoJack, man, I get why people have the reluctancy towards it, but because I had the same feeling judging it by its cover and on the surface, but no, it's a great show, and I highly recommend it.
But there's more layers to it, okay? It's funny, it's smart and quippy, and it deserves to be in a relationship.
And it's a good winter show, too, because it's comforting in how sad it can be sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, where everything's, like, dark and bleak, but it's also like, oh, no, like, these characters will get out of it, and I've been in these situations, and hopefully I've gotten out of them, too. Like, it's not hopeless.
You never know. Hope is for the hopeful. You like that?
It's pretty good.
Did you like it?
It's pretty good. Did you like Absentia, this Amazon Prime series?
Oh, Absentia?
Absentia. It was misspelled on our notes. Sorry.
Absentia cha-cha. No, that's how it's spelled. It's, again, Amazon Prime. Don't know why. Decided to try and dig up a bunch of interesting shows. And this ended up on the list. Only 2 seasons. And I guess they just released a newer season not too long ago. So this is a story about a woman that, after being declared dead, an FBI agent, which is her, must reclaim her family, identity, and innocence when she finds herself the prime suspect in a string of murders. So generally, this woman was determined dead, missing, gone, never found her body. She turns back up, I think 6 years later, with minimal memory of what had happened, and she was an FBI agent, and she was investigating a serial killer at the time. So obviously these stories are linked. However, the layers and twists and turns that the show takes you on are pretty damn good, and sometimes you're not always a step ahead. And even when it tries to give you a false step, I'd say sometimes. One of them being very odd. They kind of glanced over it, and I was like, no. So her brother, she stays with him at some points. At some points, she thinks he was involved and finds some really fucked up shit on his computer. But they kind of just, glanced over it when they realized he wasn't involved. Or maybe he was involved. I don't know. I don't want to, ruin too much of it.
Give him plot points out, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 seasons, but I will say, they found fucked up shit on his computer, and I felt like, damn, that's fucked up. Like, people shouldn't, there shouldn't be another episode until someone has completely talked about that situation.
Yeah, so I was looking up the definition of the word. It means you're doing something, but you're not physically present. Yeah, that's weird. It's a Latin word for in his absence.
Yeah, so it's definitely an odd show, and I would say between seasons, which is a big thing for me, how storylines jump from season to season, if they do it in a way that I like. And I think this one still had enough connecting from the first season to be enjoyable, and overall plot line that was continued. So interesting thriller show. If you're into those thrillers, whodunit, what's going to happen, and why the fuck is this happening, and kind of the puzzle pieces slowly get dropped throughout the episodes, then you're going to be into this. So maybe not for everybody, but generally overall, I enjoyed it.
Cool. It sounds interesting. It's the end of the fucking world is not as complicated. It is.
It's the end of the fucking world.
It's a dark comedy. Yeah, it's not like a dystopian sci-fi show, as the title may lead you to believe. This is a Netflix series from the BBC. It's 25-minute episodes, which I love. It's only 2 seasons deep so far and counting. Is Absentia, is that over, or is that 2 seasons and counting as well?
That I don't know about its continuation.
Okay.
Because they just released a new season. So maybe it might be one of those shows. I mean, there's nothing that I heard of right off the bat that said, hey, there's a 3rd season already in the works, but they could continue the storyline for sure.
Cool. So this end of the fucking world is about season 1. James and Alyssa are 17, and they're pretty sure they're sociopaths. They're coming to terms with that, and they kind of meet each other in this Bonnie and Clyde scenario where they make this connection, which it doesn't start as romantic, but they connect on a level unlike any other person they've both met, and they embark on a road trip in search of Alyssa's real father in the first season. And then some shit goes down, and the second season deals with the fallout of that and introduces a new character that was affected by the events of the first season. And Is
this the murdery show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, but I know that I remember the trailer playing is like, I want to murder this bitch.
It's supremely bingeable because the cliffhangers that end each episode also, it says it's 25 minutes, but they always just seem too short. It's one of those shows where every episode, just as you're getting into it, it's over, and you're like, well, I can watch 2 more of these. The main leads, Jessica Barden and Alex Lothar, I've never seen before, but they are fantastic. Their performances carry it, and they introduce some small characters in between, but just has a dark sense of humor. It's so blunt, and it just deals with the honesty of these kids is what's endearing, and which makes the story so interesting, and the comedy so dark and just like sharp. And I love that. It just cuts through the bullshit with each character, and the way other people just interact with them, because they're just like these 2 balls of fire that are just so angry and honest. I fucking love it. Yeah, it's a great show. It's very unique style, but I think if you like dark humor and just good bingeable stuff, you'll dig it.
Yeah, it's probably something, again, I'll pick up at some point, but I try to still leave things that I think will be good out there for when I run out of shit. Yeah,
I know what you do. I just watch things as soon as possible when I think they're going to be good at this point, because you can get stuck, you can get caught up, and things can pile up real quickly.
They can, and they do, and that's why I'll forget about things and go, oh yeah, I was going to watch that. Let me watch that now. So, is that the end of TV time?
No, I thought you had one, man.
Oh, yeah, I do have one. I'm retarded. Sorry, that's my bad. Continuing the Amazon Prime list of shows that I decided to watch and go through pretty much every season, which generally impressive, I would say, based on the runtime of some of these suckers. Goliath running an hour each episode. Fucking crazy. This is starring Billy Bob Thornton as a disgraced lawyer, now an ambulance chaser, gets a case that could bring him redemption or at least revenge on the firm which expelled him. That's probably the best explanation I've read so far, even though the ambulance chaser thing I don't particularly get. So he's basically a washed up, drunk portion of Billy Bob Thornton that we've seen before in things like Bad Santa, and just a rundown person that is living his best low life. And he has a daughter, and obviously he's divorced and has a restraining order from his wife. Whatever. There's a lot of ancillary drama facts, but the story starts with this woman bringing him a case. The case ends up involving the previous firm that expelled him. That his name is on, one of the names of, Bride and Cooperman or whatever the hell it is, and the shit gets out of hand really fucking quickly, and still in a realistic world. And I think each season now, as I understand it, because there's 3, has an underlying current message of things that are happening currently. But this is a Hollywooded up and dramatized. The first season being more about weapons testing and things like that, and big companies just completely doing what they want and skipping over laws, etc. And he's trying to expose this, but there's a lot of reasons why he's become so invested in this case that I don't want to really get into. The thing that bugged me a little bit about the show was its disconnect between its seasons, as it seemed like some storylines and characters just kind of disappeared into the mist as he went on to another case. Although seasons 2 and 3, there's a little bit of connection. So that's the only thing that washes me a little bit from this, especially with the second season echoing the first one quite a bit with a completely different story, but had a lot of the same sentiments and things that I could now guess would happen based on the events of season 1. However, the performances pretty damn good, and the third season, which I'm on now, has Dennis Quaid, the Quaidster.
Oh, well, of course,
Quaid.
You're into it.
Fucking Quaid, bro, as well as Beau Bridges. And as I sent you a picture recently, there is a scene where Beau Bridges smokes a peace pipe and ends up tripping balls hard into a Renaissance time period, doing a dance while Billy Bob Thornton in full Renaissance time period costume, makeup, fucking everything so ridiculous, is calling the dance. Turn your partner to your left. Turn your partner to your right. It's fucking, that scene right there, probably worth watching all 3 seasons just to get to that moment. Because I was like, it was super late last night, and then I see this, I'm like, what the fuck is happening, and how amazing is it, and how long did Billy Bob have to be in that makeup for? And I feel like he's the new Burt Reynolds, Does that sound? Okay,
I could buy that, yeah. I mean,
just a old dude, super fucking cool, man's man, does his thing, and I don't know, seems that way to me. But
I agree, they both have range, and they can play like the man's man role, like the warden or the crime boss, but they have like a weird like feminine side that they only barely tap into. I would say both of them.
That's true.
That is like not fully realized, I feel like, in either one of them in their careers.
Well, yeah, but I think that's part of their gimmick and their dynamic. There's a mystique.
Yeah, there's a mystique
right
there.
They don't want to engage, otherwise, they find out he's just some sad, creepy old man with feelings. How many more movies and shows are we going to see him in? I don't know.
Agreed. So that's TV time.
TV time.
In addition to that, we have 19 movies. So we'll try to be brisk with these. I also had for a second, I was like, I think I already talked about some of these on the previous episode, but
you probably did, but you don't
stop me if it is. So finishing up my horror binge, I checked out Don't Look Now, which is a 1973 film on Kanopy and Amazon Prime right now, starring my boy Donald Sutherland, who I'm a big fan of.
My boy Donald.
Dude, in 1970s, Donald Sutherland is great. I was all about him in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and he's fantastic in this, along with Julia Christie, who play a married couple. They're grieving the recent daughter, spoiler alert, recent death of their young daughter, and they are in Venice restoring a church as they encounter two elderly sisters, one of whom is psychic and blind and brings a warning from beyond, saying that their daughter's with them.
That seems like a lot of fucking steps to jump. They went from a dead daughter to building a church in Venice?
Yeah, well, the psychic's saying that their daughter is speaking to them. And there's also this mysterious...
It shows up and knows her daughter?
Yeah, the daughter dies wearing this red jacket, and it's very interesting. This first 5 minutes of the movie, so I'm going to spoil it a little bit as a hook to get you guys in on this, because I really enjoyed this movie.
Reel them in, Frank.
Yeah,
Reel them in.
So Sutherland has, like, this, like, calling. He has, like... He feels something, and he goes after his daughter as a photograph that he's reviewing is smudged of his daughter in the red smudges, and he goes after and try to save her, but he comes short, and he has a connection to the other world, but he's in denial. Like he works on a church, but he's like an atheist in a way, although you suspect that deep down he does believe in something. It freaks him out. And there's a character, like you see a vision of a red jacket, a small character running through Venice, and they use the alleyways and tunnels and bridges of Venice to create like this very 1970s paranoid thriller, which I love that genre of film. So yeah, it's really well acted. It's interesting throughout and creepy, and you never really know like what the source of this mystery is until the very end. And oh my God, the ending of this movie had me jump, dude. I am not easily scared. And this ending is just, it wasn't a jump scare. Man. It's so disturbing. It fucked with me. I had to stay up and like get a palate cleanser by watching like some comedy. I probably watched a stand-up or like a cartoon or something.
That joke's so funny until your fucking face is ripped off and your balls are shoved in your butt.
It is such an all-time ending. I highly recommend this if you guys are a fan of horror.
Can I just watch the last 15 minutes?
No,
or should I?
No. It's all good. It's all good. It's highly recommended. Suspense thriller, well acted, with some ghost stuff in there, some spiritual stuff, and just a fucking killer ending.
All right, cool, good enough for me. I love me the Southers.
Yeah, and I haven't seen this next one, so please be as spoiler free as you can.
I am going to fucking ruin it and everything you love. So, on that note. I got early screening. Now it's out, so it doesn't fucking matter. But guess what? It's Knives Out is out right now.
Well said.
Thank you. I try to fail. Knives Out, if you're not familiar, is a movie which you would love because it's written directed by Rian Johnson. Fucking awesome dude. He did one of our favorite movies, Brick, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt back in the day. You remember that?
Yes. Also, Brothers Bloom is one of my favorite movies.
Brothers Bloom with Orlando Bloom, and who's the other brother?
Adrian Brody and Mark Ruffalo. It wasn't Orlando Bloom. It's Brody.
Fucked it completely.
It's okay.
But
Rinko Kikuchi as well in that movie. It's a great cast.
Oh man, dude, Adrian Brody. I need to see some more of his shit. By the way, love that dude. Anyways, back to this movie that does not have Adrian Brody. This is a whodunit, great kind of eclectic timepiece with old and new and this great mix and fresh vibing cast and sound, and this script is fantastic. I mean, it was just delivered so fucking well. The cast is all-star. You've got Daniel Craig, fucking Toni Collette, Jamie Lee Curtis. The list goes on. You just have so many people. So even without anything, most people would just go see this movie, right?
Yeah, just based on the cast and the director, the reputation of everyone.
Yeah, and somebody else who showed up in this movie who I thought was just like there's a couple of odd picks, but Don Johnson plays one of the sons of the old man. If you don't know the story, basically there's an author that in the first few minutes of the movie is discovered dead. And his family is investigated through questioning with police officers and an investigator played by Daniel Craig. And one of the cops is Lakeith Stanfield, by the way. I don't know if are you familiar?
Yeah, I know and love him. Yes.
Yeah. So I think just everyone picked up really just really good parts. And Daniel Craig has a southern accent. Is that a spoiler?
I mean, no, you're tiptoeing around some stuff. No, I thought he had a great accent in Logan
Cowboys
Lucky.
and Aliens. How about that?
Didn't see that one. Passed on that one.
Harrison Ford. Oh God, there's aliens and cowboys. How can you pass? So this storyline kind of happens, and there's a lot of little bits of time jumping and understanding the events and as they happen and how they were perceived through certain people's eyes and their words, and how they develop their lies and intricacies and build this pretty much whole web of different deceit and just complex, thrilling, fucking just everything. I'm doing a bad job with words right now, but I'll tell you this. It's fantastic, and I don't want to ruin it in any format of the way, but the humor hits. It's light. It's funny. It's quippy. The moments are just so perfect everywhere. Shot so well. There's nothing about this movie I can say was disappointing. I think it's definitely a rewatch multiple times. Just another great delivery from Rian Johnson. I will say this, when I went to go see it, so this was a first experience for me, by the way. I'm sorry, this is the only thing I'm going to go off on a bit, and then everything else will be short and sweet. Sorry. But I went to Alamo Drafthouse, and I bought a single ticket because it was much earlier, and I was just like, I'm not going to ask you. I just want to go. So they give you a free bowl of popcorn at every, 2 seats, right? And I get there, and I was right on time to, initial trailers, what have you. The woman next to me has already taken the bowl of popcorn for herself. And I'm like, that's fuck. I mean, I get maybe not sharing or whatever, but she just yoinked it and just kept it in her lap the whole time. She's like, go fuck yourself. Damn. Man, because I was wondering how they handled this. They give you a free bowl, and then you can order endless popcorn. I've never needed more than one popcorn bowl. And then on my left side, there's an older couple with, I'm going to eventually send you the picture, but the dude had a device that was like a telescoping arm that had binoculars on it that was just mounted to the seat or mounted to a stand that you put in the cup. Mm-hmm. It was really weird.
He was recording the movie?
No, it was like glasses because he was fucking old. It was like glasses so you could see the big ass fucking screen even bigger.
So it was in front of his face, but it mounted from the cup holder.
Yes, and then it had an arm that you could it was crazy. Whoa. I've never seen this shit before. That didn't bug me. I didn't care about that. What bugged me
he's trying to enjoy the movie. I respect that, yeah.
The reason why I'm saying that didn't bug me is because there is something that fucking bugged me. And maybe God bless me, I'll be in a relationship one day that exists like this. But if I have my wife sitting next to me every 5 minutes, what did he say? And then you tell him what he said, and you're not even quiet about it. What did he say? Oh, he said da-da-da-da. Oh, okay. Well, why did he say that? And this goes on throughout the fucking movie for a while, and I'm like, am I gonna have to report 2 old ass people because you won't shut the fuck up? You can't even whisper. You can't even. Hey, what was that?
That's not old age. That's just ignorance. That's not exclusive. That's not an age thing. That's just ignorance.
Yeah, it was. Well, what did he say? And then this is what he said. At these tones.
And this is the guy with the fucking the magnifying screen?
Yes, he had that, and then his wife next to him. Wait, what did he say? I didn't catch that.
Wow. And your popcorn got taken. And you still love this movie.
Absolutely. So, now, I will tell you this, because I didn't know how to deal with this popcorn situation. So at the end, they bring you a receipt, and then they had the fucking popcorn on there, and I wrote on there, bitch next to me stole the popcorn, and when I put my card down, and when they came back, they didn't charge me for the popcorn. And I was like, okay. So, because I don't know how you generally, you should go with 2 people to Alamo, I think is what the lesson that's learned here.
They charge you for half the popcorn? Each person pays half?
No, they don't charge you anything for the popcorn. They leave a free bowl of popcorn at every 2 seats, and there's this little table stand where you can order food and write down shit on these cards.
Oh, okay.
And they leave it right there in the middle, and I was wondering how that was going to pan out. And then I wasn't sure also how to deal with it after the fact, because when you order things, you just write them down on the card. And initially, I was going to write that shit out, and then I was just going to see if they charged me for it in the end. And I was going to be like, yeah, bro. Because it's like $12, and I'm like, man, that's free popcorn that I should have had. And this bitch over here took the whole fucking thing. I mean, I don't know, man. You could have just been like, hey, you want to dump a little bit into your hand there? And Nah, fuck you. Nah.
Pour some out on a napkin for me. I'll put a napkin on my lap.
No, just a fucking bitch. Well, so that was kind of shitty. But beyond that, the movie was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's highly unlikely anyone goes through worse of a setting than Josh did. And he enjoyed the movie. So
unless you get stabbed in the side.
I would probably, it depends. A little stab, I'd probably take over the whole, what did he say? Why did he say it?
That's also probably what did he say? When is he saying it? Now, bitch, now.
If I can
say it now.
If I don't need stitches later, I'll take the stab over that.
Yeah, if you just got like poked with a pen one time, I would totally take that.
I just put my soda on it.
I couldn't give the heart to yell at old people, so I just did one of these like ever ghastly scowls and turned my head slowly and would look over.
You were prepping it too, weren't you? You're probably prepping it like, you're like, oh, I hope they know exactly how mad I am as I turn my face.
I would have been, could you please not, excuse me, shut the fuck up.
Go home and some people need subtitles, and that's okay, but you can't.
The movie's in a surround sound. You're sitting there. There's nothing else happening. If you can't fucking hear this movie, it's time, lady. I think it's time to get something to help that out.
Alamo should supply headphones.
You know what? I thought that would be super cool if they did that. If they had them to the chairs. But then you got to think about like the grossness of having them on multiple people's ears. So you would have to get like some type of cupping one where it cups around the ear and then people go around and clean that shit. But I thought about that. I was like, man, they should put fucking headphones in there. Then this bitch would shut the fuck up.
Yeah. All right. Let's do speed round on some of these. I saw Enter the Dragon, 1973 Bruce Lee film. This is available on Netflix. And I know this movie is credited as like bringing karate to the United States, changed the childhood of an entire generation as they idolize this guy.
It took 6 years of that shit.
It was interesting to me, but it was like a bad Bond script from the 70s with Bruce Lee added in there. I mean, he is a captivating actor. He's a very interesting actor and fighter, and there was some really cool camera work there and some stunts. The stunts obviously were ahead of their time and unlike anything we saw up until that point. Right. But you got to be a fan of martial arts to really appreciate this kind of movie. So it's a old school take it or leave it for Enter the Dragon, which is available on Netflix.
Okay. All right. So I finally got around to watching Gemini Man. Which, as you're familiar, Will Smith, an over-the-hill hitman, faces off against a younger clone of himself. Overall, lukewarm movie. Performances by Will Smith the guy has the range to kill movies, like 7 pounds and shit. And just seems like some of these are kind of phoned in and not that great. The action and sequences, pretty fantastic, visually somewhat stunning. Definitely a one watch for me, and definitely a take it or leave it. But I'd say anything Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in, where she plays kind of the initial character that was surveilling him, that gets looped into his crazy fucking plot line of shenanigans. All in all, kind of a Rent-A Mission Impossible in a sense, with some sci-fi elements. But it's okay. Nothing terrible. If you're looking to fill some time with some Will Smith, boom.
Cool. And that sound you no doubtly heard in the background is the dog I'm babysitting right now, Luca.
You don't have a dog. Shut up.
You hear that grumbling? Sound like a motorcycle being started up. He's doing good, though. He's laying right in front of the microphone and being super quiet. So that's what that is. I saw Cold War on Amazon Prime. This is a 2018 Polish romance movie set in the 50s where a music director falls in love with a singer during these tryouts and tries to persuade her to flee communist Poland for France. It is a nice 1 hour, 29-minute movie. It is a very brutal setting and a honest and blunt and brutal love story. It's not romantic in the traditional sense. These characters are... they're not the most optimistic people because they're given no reason to be in the place they are, and I thought it was very interesting.
They live miserable lives.
Yeah, this is not a fairy tale whatsoever. Beautifully shot in black and white, very well acted by the two leads, Joanna Kulig and Tamaz Kot, who I've never seen before, but was very impressed with. And if you're just looking for something different, if you don't mind a good love story, I think romantic movies give people a bad taste just because the most American ones are just bullshit, like grown-up fairy tales. But it's the type of relationship that you can learn from in the movie like any other. It's just most of them are bad. This one's really good, so I'd recommend it.
Okay, fair enough. I might check that out. Also, because I feed myself mindless garbage, Rambo Last Blood. I watched it, and I kind of regret it. There's pretty much one moment in the movie, and only one moment I will talk about. Just generally to say that the Rambo has gone off the rails. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what direction they're taking this character anymore. It's completely different than what you are familiar with in the initial, or even the first follow-up they did. Look, they put Rambo in the jungle. He was doing his thing out there with his fucking bow and arrow. That's all cool. Now, the motherfucker's living like a farmer out in the middle of fucking Midwest, whatever the shit, and he's trying to help the woman he's married, her daughter, something of that nature. I don't know. They bring this big Latin element into the Rambo series, which I don't know. It's just it hits a lot of weird. Like now it's Detective Rambo or some shit, or maybe it's now Man on Fire Rambo. I don't know. All I'll say is the last 5 minutes of the movie are worth watching. Motherfucking Rambo. He Kali Ma's a motherfucker, dude. He straight up puts dude on the wall of his fucking barn and rips the dude's heart out from his chest and screams, Kali Ma! No, he doesn't really scream Kali Ma, but he fucking Kali Ma the dude, man. It's crazy. That's and if you're not familiar with the reference, it's from fucking Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Word. Yeah, I remember the last one being really brutal. Mainly the villains were brutal. That was just called Rambo, I think, or something.
Yeah, I think that was like the initial comeback, Rambo.
Yeah, someone. I think
now it's Last Blood.
This film seems to be mishandled in every which way, because why did it come out in between Halloween and Thanksgiving? Like, you put this is a Father's Day movie.
Do you like turkey?
Yeah, it's a Father's Day weekend movie. They do this with Mother's Day movies. Like, this is something your dad, who maybe doesn't really like movies, but you like movies.
He was in the war.
Yeah, this movie is a a compromise between father and son or something. I mean, like, no one really wants to see this movie, but if you can maybe meet in the middle and watch it.
Yeah. Weak sauce, and hopefully that's Rambo's last movie.
Yeah. So after really enjoying Parasite, it might be my favorite movie of the year, I went back and I finally saw the other Bong Joon-ho movie from the past couple of years, Okja, which is a Netflix exclusive. This is about a young girl risking everything to prevent a powerful multinational company from kidnapping her best friend, a fascinating beast, a giant pig named Okja. So yes, directed by Bong Joon-ho, who also
did it better the first time.
Yeah, I did. I know. I got a little cocky there. But he also did
and you're like, bug.
Snowpiercer and Parasites. This guy, like, he's very good at social commentary and,
and still putting out a good quality flick.
Yeah, he talks about capitalism, class system. Like, this stuff always comes up. And this cast, buddy, Tilda Swinton is in this. Jake Gyllenhaal. Paul Dano, like, it's loaded with awesome people, and it's a great movie. If you don't like your meat eating challenged, you might want to avoid this one because it has a very, very black and white, straightforward message about the meat industry. That's kind of what it's all about. But it's a great action adventure movie with just some awesome set pieces, like fantastic, like creature creation. And
who voices the pig?
Nobody. It's just an animal.
It's just a pig.
Yeah, it's just a pig. It's a live action movie.
Is it a real pig?
No, it's a CG character, but it's an animal. Yeah, it's not a talking thing. It's all live action.
Okay.
Besides the CG beast, but yeah, it's really good. And Paul Dano heads up like the Animal Liberation Front, and his group, they're fantastic, man. I fucking love him and their morals and like how they want to do this thing, but like they have specific rules that are handed down to them, and them dealing with that was fantastic. Whole movie was great. Highly recommended.
Okay, that is something that, based on your recommendation, I'll probably watch now. I need that push sometimes, and it's called a little Frankie push.
I did too, yeah. And it was just like, I love everything this director does. Why did I skip this movie? And
maybe because I can't spell it.
Yeah. Okay, J-A.
Yeah. Okay, F-R. Frank.
Continue, please.
Sure. Finally caught something that you had reviewed quite a while ago, Quentin Tarantino's last piece, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And you were in love with this movie, as I recall.
I liked it, and I was like, couldn't really put down how I felt about it. And I rewatched it recently, so I do love it now upon second viewing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still a little in between. I think performances with Brad Pitt and Leo are super fun to watch, and those arcs with those characters. And if anything, I'd say Brad Pitt's non-arc and how he maintains basically the same level of himself throughout the movie. But I felt the storyline was a little disjointed. Didn't follow a real thorough path, and I don't always particularly need things to be linear, but just it seemed like it was almost, and I get it, it's Once Upon a Time, so it's almost like just taking a couple days out of Hollywood in this time and putting it in this flick. I can appreciate a lot of the callbacks and some of the storylines and characters that they brought back to life, which is always fun to watch, especially who they get to look like these people that we were so fond of, Steve McQueen, etc. I also felt that Margot Robbie's storyline was just this side thing that was existing but didn't really exist. I don't know. That was very weird to me as well. Kind of left a little bit of an unfinished taste, and not one that felt like, okay, and now the story will go on where you will question things. It was more like, that's the end of the fucking movie, huh? Oh, all right, cool. I will say it did me no favors to watch this a day after watching Knives Out, where I'm like super fucking thrilled with the script and the characters and the performances, and I watched something that's still trying to compete with that, so it's really hard to, I would say, compete. But for Quentin Tarantino, I think he does violence with drama so well that this movie lacked a little bit of that, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I thought the ending,
felt like something was a little bit missing.
The ending is very violent. I think you're gonna watch it again, man, because your criticism definitely reminded me, echo like my concerns with it the first time around, and I described it as like, it felt like Quentin Tarantino playing through a Rockstar game that set place in 1969 Hollywood. Even especially in the beginning, like Brad Pitt's just driving around showing us the setting. But I think we take for granted the fact that, this Quentin Tarantino movies are they bring in a casual audience, so a lot of people don't know this stuff that we take for granted, like the movie industry and these characters, and what it's like back then to make a movie and to be a stuntman and to be an actor. I love it. I mean, yeah, Tarantino loves his own shit. Like, he loves his dialogue.
Motherfucker should have sold it to Netflix.
15-minute scene that is a scene from Leonardo DiCaprio's Rick Dalton playing a character in a TV show with Timothy Olyphant, and it's 15 minutes of them making a scene just in the middle of the movie. But it's great. Once you know what it is and your expectations are settled, I think you appreciate it more. And Leo and Brad Pitt kill it. I thought Margot Robbie was great too. I think. But
how do you feel about her storyline and placement within? I mean, it just didn't seem. I thought she was
a very sweet, one of the more sweet parts of. It's kind of like the.
But why did she exist though?
It's just like the character, to give it like a sense of like, a person to root for, and just to balance things out. Kind of like was it Josanna's character? Was it Josanna or whatever? What was her character's name in Inglourious Basterds? The girl who escaped, is it?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm remembering hazy on this, and it's late tonight. But it's very similar to that. I thought her storyline is one of the more like sweet moments in any Tarantino movie, and she just didn't have the biting dialogue. I get it, but that wasn't her character. I mean, I thought he portrayed her really well. It just even showed her like her friendship with what's his character, the guy who's like in love with her.
I can't think. No.
Yeah, God, people are gonna be yelling.
Shut the fuck up.
But the second time around, because it's now available like on digital rental and you can buy it digitally. I really liked it, dude. I thought it was great.
I don't know. I feel like Quentin Tarantino fills a certain void in my life, and it's things like Reservoir Dogs and the things that maybe echo a little bit more of the violence with still these great monologues and characters. So, all in all, there's nothing wrong with that movie. It's definitely another good classic. In
Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch. Oh, yeah. Emil Hirsch.
You love me some Emil? I rewatch it, dude. I think your expectations, like a lot of things, like a Star Wars movie or a Tintin movie, you're like, oh, what could it be? You just your imagination is so open, and then as the movie goes,
to go 100%, and it always just kind of stays at about 75
because you just don't know what to expect. And this ending, I think the ending gives you that, but where your imagination is open for this movie, and then as you go through, it starts closing, and you're kind of disappointed because it's this thing. It's just it's a 2-hour movie, and now you know that it is. You're going to be disappointed just because there's no more surprises. And I think watching it the second time, there's a lot of ways to
take it, and I'm not saying anything. Don't go check this movie out. Just it hit a lot of different notes. Mm-hmm. And again, watching this after watching something that I was super diehard for makes it a little bit tougher. So it might be something that needs to be watched on its own separately, away from other movies that kind of gauge that big director, big script, big performance feel.
Word. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm interested, and do update if you watch it again sometime soon. Let me know what you think, because it's definitely a movie that's worth a couple watches if you're interested.
Okay.
I checked out finally The Delicatessen on Amazon Prime. This is written and co-directed with Marc Caro, but written and directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who also did Amélie, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Mm-hmm. This is a post-apocalyptic surrealist black comedy about a landlord of an apartment building who occasionally prepares a delicacy for his old tenants of other human beings. And it's basically this guy puts an ad out for help and gets someone to help fix him up the apartment in his deli, and then cuts him and kills him. But this time around, his daughter, who is kind of the queen of this whole scenario, and it's very similar to Okja and other movies I've seen recently, where you have a class system in a confined area that it's like a boiled down version of society, and it's very goofy and disturbing at the same time. It's a good mix of sweetness, but this romance they have going on, and darkness with the fact they're trying to kill human beings, and all these little odd touches and great direction. I feel like this director was inspired by like Looney Tunes stuff with the camera angles and just the shots. And like, for example, one thing I really loved is that the daughter of the butcher uses the piping in the building to eavesdrop on people, and she can tell whether or not the guy she has survived a night because she hears him get into his apartment. It just can hear everything. So it's like cool little things like that. I enjoyed it a lot. It's highly recommended. It's a little bit older. It's from 1991, but it's definitely weird and entertaining enough that despite its age, it should feel fresh and something different.
All right, cool. So I went back and found a movie just because sometimes I search out people and things that I didn't see that they were in and want to know. So that's kind of my watching pattern sometimes, just to give you a feel of what's happening all up in Josh's nickel box.
Yeah, we've both been doing that.
So I was looking at Jamie Bell movies.
Love Jamie Bell.
Yeah. And came across 6 Days with Mark Strong, Abby Cornish. Definitely has a bit of a good cast going on. This is the Hollywood version of the events of April in 1980, when armed gunmen stormed the Iranian embassy in Prince's Gate, London, and took all the hostages inside. And over the next 6 days, there was a intense standoff. So these events did happen back in the day, and this is kind of this perception of that storyline. I'll say that the negotiator, played by Mark Strong, has a really good human element and want to help these people that he can barely even relate to, that are struggling with political beliefs that they want the people in London to help assist with, and yet it's this story of governments not wanting to work together. It's a story of using the SAS first time on their home soil. Jamie Bell plays the team leader of the SAS unit that's kind of been practicing setting up all of these possible scenarios before, just as possible plans, and then running through them and kind of seeing his development into a leader and the decisions that he makes as he plans for a possible assault on this embassy. Mark Strong's doing anything he can to avoid that. And the balance of the Negotiator movie that we haven't seen in a while. From you remember things like The Negotiator, Kevin Spacey, Sam Jackson, movies with those intense standoffs, Inside Man, just Dog Day Afternoon, all those types of good standoff movies where tensions are so fucking high and you're not really sure what could happen.
And this is on that level.
I would say it holds up very well to telling the story of what happened, and the tension is there. I mean, it's not as much trickery and deceit and heist type shenanigans or any of that, as much as it's a well told story with really good performances by these characters that really want to help or are planning themselves for a mission of death in a sense. I think the struggle is very well done. It didn't leave me too bored at any point, and I think it's a well-told story. It's currently available on pretty much anything, YouTube, iTunes, anything. You can pretty much rent it there and watch it, but not bad.
Yeah, it's on Netflix too. Netflix and Hoopla.
Yeah. It's on fucking everything, man. Interesting.
King of New York, I was always interested in. This is a Christopher Walken movie from 1990. It's a crime thriller. Notorious B.I.G. always name-checked and adopted a nickname of, Frank White, which is the character Christopher Walken plays. Boy, does this movie have fucking the weirdest energy. This is Christopher Walken before he knew how weird he was and, just sold that on SNL and in Fatboy Slim videos and other shit. He's joined by Lawrence Fishburne, who plays one of his strangest characters and as part of a gang, and that is also includes Steve Buscemi, which is kind of underutilized in this role, but always good to see as this drug kingpin, Frank White, played by Christopher Walken, is released from prison, seeks to take control of the criminal underworld in New York in general in order to give back to the community in a twisted Robin Hood type role. Cops facing off with these guys led by David Caruso and Wesley Snipes. It's just a weird movie, a very time capsule, just such a 90s movie. This is a surreal representation of gang violence and just gang culture. It's just very strange, but it's worth watching just for Walken and Lawrence Fishburne's performances. And it's just a very strange movie. The sexuality, the violence, just the camaraderie between the gangsters. It's all just weird, surreal energy. And I think it's worth checking out.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I've seen it. I just can't recall. If I did, it was probably back in the day at Blockbuster. I can't even remember anymore. Mm-hmm. What is Brain Memories? Yep. What are they?
Tell me about Last Flag Flying, a movie that looks cool, but I'm just not ready to be depressed.
And this will do that a bit. Last Flag Flying, also I think I found, it's an Amazon original movie starring some of our favorites, Steve Carell, Lawrence Fishburne, Bryan Cranston, and it's the story of Steve Carell's character. 30 years after they served together in Vietnam, a former Navy corpsman, Larry Doc Shepard, reunites with his old buddies, former Marines Sal Nealon and Reverend Richard Mueller, to bury his son, a young Marine killed in the Iraq War. I think just start off by saying that this movie does a very good job of not including any additional politics or shenanigans or bias based on what its premise is, which I think is really important to say. And it was directed by and written by Richard Linklater, by the way.
I know. That's interesting thing about it, because I love him. It's not his typical subject.
Right. So I think Steve Carell, by the way, fucking kills it, and just another serious role where he drives the power and somberness and tone and his eyes, and just really drives this story and the progress in this father coming to terms and understanding what he wants to do and understanding he doesn't know what he wants to do. And you have this real ragtag group. You have Sal, played by Bryan Cranston, who is the alcoholic guy in a bar now that very, fuck the military. Yeah, they didn't give me shit and fuck them. And plays just that real kind of more trashy kind of guy. And he goes full on board for that throughout the time. He kind of becomes that, foot in the mouth guy that occasionally has a heart of gold or something like that. But most of the time, he's pretty shitty. Lawrence Fishburne plays basically a redeemed guy who used to do plenty of terrible things and now is a preacher and married and wants to live a normal life. And so it's a good balance of dynamic. And these guys have this common love, even coming from two different worlds now, that for their friend and brother when he's in need. And it's interesting to kind of see how that develops throughout. And I'd say just really powerfully emotionally driven. It is not the biggest, push in the dumps and being like the most depressed you could ever be or anything, but I'd say just it's a real solid story and it really makes you give a shit about this man and his son and what he's going through. Definitely a recommended watch.
Cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate how we do our podcast, because most podcasts would feature The Irishman and extensively talk about it. I know you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so don't fucking ruin it. Don't ruin it.
We just put things.
Just shut the fuck up. Go ahead.
Oh, nice. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood reference that some will get. But I will just say The Irishman, I really enjoyed. If you haven't seen Goodfellas and Casino yet, watch those first. Then you'll appreciate it.
This falls in line, though?
For me, it did. It's a miracle that we got one more of these with the age, reversing technology they use, which I really appreciated. This movie shouldn't exist, and I'm really glad it does. It's 3.5 hours, so I broke it down.
Holy fuck balls!
Yeah, I broke it down into 2 watches.
The Irish long man.
Some people could, take 3, but yeah, I really like it. But I'm
gonna sit through the whole fucking thing in one sitting and not use the restroom.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Scorsese diehard. I think he's the greatest director of my lifetime, and but you really, if you got to be able to sit through Goodfellas, especially Casino. If you like those, then check out the
Fuck yeah. I fucking love those movies. So, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. All the yes.
And then, just real quick, and then I'll let you do yours. Mike Birbiglia's stand-up, the new one, deals with parenting, which is not an unfamiliar stand-up topic. But I'm a big fan of Mike Birbiglia's style, where he just tells one story. Birbiglia. And he has one main story, and he tells little stories that connect to the bigger picture, and he does it really well, and he did it really well once again with the new one, which is on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like him. He's pretty fucking funny. Shoving other garbage in my face. I needed to know how the story ended, Frank. I just needed to know. Angel has fallen. The final chapter, maybe. Who fucking knows? The fucking moon has fallen next.
An angel will do something else. Or something will fall, or an angel will do something.
No, it's definitely all has fallen. It's Olympus has fallen, fucking somewhere has fallen. So eventually it's going to be the moon has fallen.
The box office has fallen.
The box office has fallen. Where fucking, where Gerard Butler shows up to the theater and literally goes to break necks.
The standards have fallen.
Oh, man. This movie exists. Morgan Freeman's still alive. That's good. Sure, it's another installment in the action series of Jerry Butts kicking ass and taking names.
Is it
the plot line sucks?
Is it the worst of these 3? Is it the best? Is it in the middle?
It only makes it the worst in the sense of, now he's been framed for the job. And now, this motherfucker literally risked his life to die multiple times in the previous 2 movies. Do you really think at some point he was just bought? Don't you think he would have just been bought in the first movie?
If this is real life, he'd be the president. It's like Will Smith in Independence Day. That person would just become the president.
Yeah, it's just weird. He saves the dude's life. He spends all these years. They framed him. Oh, he's definitely fucking guilty. He totally did this shit. Dude, come on. No, he didn't. So now he spends 25 minutes as an inmate. The best part of this movie was fucking Nick Nolte shows up as his father out in the woods. This dude who's just isolate off the fucking grid. The only heart and soul brought to this movie, Nick fucking Nolte. Everything else about this movie was generally trash. I would say, yeah, Nick Nolte brought the shiz and the action. There's a scene where Jerry Butts, Nick Nolte are hanging out in the woods, and all the bad guy, they're closing in on him, and he's like, they're fucking coming, shut the fuck up. He's like, who the fuck cares? And then presses a thing, blows all these dudes up to the left. He's like, oh man, you could have fucking told me. He's like, shut the fuck up. Presses another button, blows up like 40 more dudes behind him. Spends the next 15 minutes in this hole while Jerry Butts is out there trying to like kill these dudes, blowing all these motherfuckers up and all these bombs that he's planted over the years, I guess, being in the woods. That was probably the best part of the movie. Otherwise, another just movie that exists with Jerry Butler that's not, 300 sequel or something. I don't know. I like him in Guy Ritchie movies. I like him in the right action movies because the dude has star power.
We love him. Just watch Den of Thieves again.
In shit like this, like you're just trying to grind him down into another fucking, Bruce Willis or some shit.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I probably will never see that one. We're going to end this with one we both watched, so I'm going to do two real quick. Her Smell is on Kanopy. This is about a self-destructive punk rocker struggling with sobriety while trying to recapture the creative inspiration that led her band to success. Written and directed by Alex Ross Perry. It stars Elizabeth Moss as a Courtney Love inspired. You watch this, you can't help but think of Courtney Love. You also have Cara Delevingne, and Dan Stevens.
No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, I thought the performances in this were great, especially Elizabeth Moss, who is, in my opinion, one of the best and most underrated actresses out there right now. But the whole the totality of the movie just did do it for me. I didn't connect with the story, the character much. It was more of a character study than in a great story to follow. So just it was. It's worth watching for a performance, I guess, but I wasn't fully satisfied with the movie itself. And then I watched a series of bad movies, which we're going to talk about.
I was going to try and watch this, and then I couldn't even 5 minutes in.
Yeah. This Kill Chain, which starts off as we talked about Richard Linklater earlier when you saw, his movie. This reminds me of Slacker, where this movie starts off where, someone dies and then the person that kills them, you follow them and they may kill someone else or they may die. And it all leads to this hotel with Nicolas Cage as these three strangers' lives are inevitably entangled in a conflict none of them are prepared for. It is dumb, but I can't deny the fact that I was entertained and interested enough. This is a Redbox movie. It's also available on Amazon Prime. Kill Chain. If you're looking to just turn your brain off and you're a fan of Nicolas Cage or just dumb action movies, you could do a lot worse. I wasn't bored. I wasn't I didn't learn anything,
Kill Chain.
I wasn't thrilled, Yeah, it wasn't it's like a
it's like Angel
grocery store version of John Wick.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Well, it's more of a maybe John Wick you picked up at Goodwill that somebody didn't want and donated. All the John Wicks got sold out, and you were last minute Christmas shopping, and you're like, oh, this is the dollar store version. And you got the Ron Dick.
Yeah, you got your kid wanted a Transformer, and you got a Mr. Robot, or not Mr. Robot, Robot Man or something. Yeah,
you got him a real life transvestite.
Yeah. But come on, man, stop. So we're gonna end this with.
I said, Phantom.
We love trashy movies. We love trashy Travolta. We had a great time with Gotti last year. Haircuts. Yeah, we were both huge Limp Bizkit heads, right? Biscuit Boys, as we were called in the 90s. Yeah. The Fanatic is a crime film thriller starring John Travolta as a rabid fan who stalks his favorite action hero, played by Devon Sawa, and destroys the star's life. Yeah, spoiler.
Shit ever, by the way. Devon Sawa showing up in this movie and actually not looking like he's about to die.
But not looking like a big movie star either. He just looks like a guy who would be robbing a bank, not like the biggest movie star. But he's not. He's like a Bruce Campbell-ish. He's a star of B movies. And, John Travolta, in the very problematic performance, portrays a comic book store shopping superfan as a mentally ill person who's a slasher.
And with tissues?
Yeah, if you can separate how offensive this performance is. They let Travolta do his thing, and the way he views these people is disturbing because it's not fair. It's very exploitive to this character, and I thought we were done after the 1980s, with taking mental illness and using it as to build a killer character. That's awful. But if you want to watch this movie as a train wreck where nothing makes sense, every decision is nonsensical, and
John Travolta's putting on his best stupid fucking haircut and dumb shirt and weak ass performance to collect a check.
Yeah, and just watch John Travolta like express himself in just
this is a guy who's been doing this for how long now?
Yeah, and I have a feeling this is like the most freedom he's had in his career, and this is what he does with it.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, guys? I want to make a movie. Okay, so you know how that asshole Terry always shows up at my door pissing me off? I want to make a movie, make him look like fucking shit. I'm going to play a version of Terry, dumbed down, stupid, annoying, just has all these issues, and I'm just going to show you what I think of those people and how I think they impact my life.
I think what it was is I suspect he saw The Room and was like, I'm going to do Tommy Wiseau. But Tommy Wiseau is that guy. He's not pretending. And when you try to do this on purpose, you're going to be offensive. And
we'd love to know. I would love to have a conversation with John Travolta and just say, hey, John, pleasure to meet you. No, seriously, Grease, amazing. So what were you thinking when you made The Fanatic?
Dude, now, how much would you pay for a DVD with commentary by Fred Durst, writer-director, or
$20
and John Travolta? Yeah, I was thinking $20 too. Travolta. Yes, and I would
pay $20 to listen to them Mystery Science Theater. Just talk about their thought process. Just be like, so what did you think of this movie, Fred? I don't know.
Answer.
You tell me. And maybe Devin Sawa, throw him on there where he'll be like, yeah, my life's been fucking miserable.
No, he needed the check. The Devin Sawa plays this as well as you can, considering the circumstances.
He never fucking became.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? Can I play it for once?
But I would pay $100 to be there live in a Q&A.
Oh, man.
And my question would be like, hi, yes, Frank, first time, long time. Why? Why did you do this? What are you trying? This movie doesn't say anything.
What is your message beyond?
There's no message.
And not all movies have a message. We know there's pop.
But it's weird.
This is not that ability.
These are two people
trying to say something. It's trying to say a sentence, and instead, what comes out is, "No, I fucking hate bad people."
It feels like two guys who, at one point, were at the peak of their individual industries, and they seem bitter, and they're blaming it on fans. They're
like, "Let's make an art piece."
And the way they view fans is disturbing. Maybe we're looking into this. This just could be two dumb people.
They thought this was a great script, and John was like, you know what? I love this script. I'm going to make it. They're like, John, just get more desperate and more stupid and more annoying and just let yourself be this character.
Yeah. It's offensive. There's no reason for it to exist, but I'm going to recommend you see it because you have to.
You never go full retard.
It's entertaining in a way no one intended, but it must be seen.
Yeah, I mean, somebody spent money on it. We owe them a few bucks.
Yeah, there's more people that worked on this that didn't just had to do a job. It wasn't their vision. They weren't trying.
Yeah, there's some dude just standing there like, don't look at me, Terry. I don't know what the fuck this shit is. I just hold the mic.
Yeah, exactly. So do it for them.
Do it for Terry. But Terry needs to pay his bills. He's got a cat. He's late on his rent by 3 days. Help him out, guys. John Travolta's
I walked by
fucking shit.
There's a Red Box at the convenience store where I get coffee sometimes before work, and they had the Fanatic and Kill Chain as like action-packed night. I'm like, whoa, someone's going to do this and expect good things, and it's going to ruin a Friday night. A lot of people are going to be like, yeah, let's get a pizza and these. I love Travolta. I love Nicolas Cage.
Kids, you want to get the Fanatic? And they're just sitting there, and I see this like 8-year-old kid just traumatized, dude.
And of course,
he doesn't even understand
the scene where Devin Sawa's like, "Hey," with his son, and he's like, "You want to listen to some Limp Bizkit? I love the biscuit." He says, "I love the biscuit." Fred Durst, shame on you for that. This whole fucking thing, especially that scene.
Yeah.
All right. So we watched that. We watched a lot of things. I'm going to try to talk about next episode some Christmas movies that are underrated, that aren't Christmas classics that I want to recommend, and some Adam Driver movies. I'm going to check out A Marriage Story and The Report. I'm going to check out, hopefully, Knives Out and talk maybe a little in depth.
You know what? I just don't like how long your list is getting.
And Queen and Slim.
I don't like it.
Anything you think you're going to watch. It's okay if you're not prepared.
Maybe I am prepared, and I just put my notes in invisible ink, you son of a bitch. No, I'm not prepared. But I will say, based on this podcast, I am going to watch The Irishman very soon. Probably a couple other things from your list. Probably won't talk about them, and then I'll find a few other random things to throw on. I think The Good Place is finishing up. I know I've talked about it before, but I think this is their final jam. So eventually, when that tightens up and finishes, yeah, I don't know. I'm just always hoping that someday I'll read an article where it says The Leftovers Season 4 is happening, and I'll be like, what the fuck? My life, it's over. I love things. I don't know. Not really sure.
And that's okay. So Josh's part's going to be a mystery. Thanks for listening. Hopefully the background noise wasn't too annoying as much as
wasn't too doggy. Wasn't
our
too
voices.
catty.
If you deal with our voices, hopefully you can deal with the background noise.
Seriously, everything else is a shade less annoying.
All right. We'll talk to you guys whenever we do this again.
Bye.
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 And go.
On this week's episode of The Video Store, Josh visits the man in the high castle riding Bojack Horseman into absentia at the end of the fucking world while Frank...
Keep going. I'm not letting you go.
While Frank Goliath takes his knives out.
Go. Continue.
Just dragon. Don't look.
Keep going, bitch.
Don't look now. While Gemini man Josh joins the Cold War with Rambo last.
You're almost halfway there. Go. Keep going.
Frank visits a delicatessen for 6 days, becoming the king of New York with his last flag flying as Josh and the Irishman saw an angel has fallen and her smell kill chain the Fanatic. Okja.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.